Solid Foundation, Israelite Academy 2019, bringing you guys another awesome video on tonight. And the topic of discussion will be concerning Pagan Christmas 2019. I will be going into some literature to show you guys that Christmas is truly indeed satanic and it's a pagan custom that we are not to keep. Thus saith the Lord. I'm your host, Shabar Judah Israel, that will be bringing forth this lesson on tonight. Be sure to share this video with family and friends. All right. You can also check us out on YouTube, Solid Foundation Israelite Academy, and you can follow me. That is Shabar Israel on Twitter. And last but not least, you can reach out, get in touch with me on Facebook, which is Shabar Israel. So let's get into the lesson on tonight. I will wait for brothers and sisters to come on in the room. And once we get a couple brothers and sisters in, I will go ahead and commence with the lesson concerning 2019 Pagan Christmas. So guys, prepare yourselves for the truth. Open your minds. Open your minds. Expand your minds on tonight. You are in for a rude awakening, guys. So sit back, relax, expand your mind. Open your mind to the truth. Don't be afraid to touch the solid foundation of the truth. So here we go, guys. Once again, we have the wonderful incense burning to set the atmosphere, guys. So here we go. Open your minds up. Now, I must show you guys lots of literature concerning pagan Christmas. Guys, I don't just talk. I do my research. You know, I seek out the matter. And that's what separates, us from the rest. We actually do our research before we bring anything to the table. Because I speak nothing but facts. So, you see all this literature? I'm going to go into some of this literature and prove to you guys that Christmas is satanic and is truly indeed pagan. Is a pagan festival, all right, that has nothing to do with the Bible. Christmas truly indeed is pagan. So I will be pulling from various sources as you see on the table. So the first book I want to pull from is this book here. Now pay close attention, guys. This book says you can live forever in paradise on earth. Now, I believe I purchased this book many years back. I have had this book maybe for 8 years now. And basically it pulls from a Jehovah's Witness perspective, but you can still go into it and you can see in certain chapters of this book that the information is legit. So we are not Jehovah's Witnesses. We are the Hebrew Israelites. And it's not a religion. It's not a denomination. It's your nationality. It's your culture. Blacks, Hispanics, Latinos and Native Americans, we are the true Hebrew Israelites. All right, the chosen people of the Most High. Once again, being a Hebrew Israelite is not predicated upon a religion or denomination or some type of, philosophy. It's just your culture and your nationality, who you are. So we are not Jehovah's Witnesses, but I have had this book for many years now. Even though it's a Jehovah's Witness book, you can live forever in paradise on earth. And I was going to throw away the book once I came into the faith as a Hebrew Israelite, but it's certain information in this book that is just factual. It's irrefutable evidence. So I decided to keep the book for the sake of certain passages in this book being legit, like concerning Christmas, letting you see that it's pagan. Now, let's deal with this. So, a lot of individuals would say that the Messiah was born on the 25th of December. And this is what I want to elaborate on in this book. So, a lot of individuals would say that the Messiah was born on the 25th of December. But I'm going to prove that the Messiah was not born, or what you would say birthed. His nativity did not fall on the 25th of December. And there are many red flags that sticks out. So let's just go into it. So we go back into you can live forever in paradise on earth. We go back into page 213. Page 213, it says, since at Jesus' birth, shepherds were still in the fields with their flocks at night. He could have not been born on the 25th of December. He could not have been born on the 25th of December, since at his birth, there were shepherds that was abiding in the fields. That's a red flag. So I'm going to give you the book, chapter, and verse in the Bible. Okay, so let's go to Luke chapter 2. I forgot to mention this. You're going to need a Holy Bible for this video, because that's the sword. That's the good book. So you're going to need a Holy Bible. So let's go into Luke chapter 2 concerning the Messiah's nativity. It's impossible for the Messiah to be born or birthed on the 25th of December. And I'm going to use Luke chapter 2, beginning with verse 8 to state my claim. So guys, open your Bibles if you will. Let's head over to the Gospel Luke chapter 2, beginning with verse 8. All right. And here we go. This is exactly what it reads. Let you guys see for yourselves. All right. Luke chapter 2. This is the book of Luke chapter 2. Chapter 2. Let's begin with verse 8. And I will stop on verse 12. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the fields, you see, keeping watch over their flock by night. You see. So this is dealing with the nativity of the Messiah. Okay. Because if you read up a few verses in Luke chapter 2, let's look at Luke chapter 2, verse 6. It says, and so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. Luke 2 and 7. And she brought forth her firstborn son. This is who the world knows as Jesus Christ. We know him as Yahushua. And wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. And so around this time of the Messiah's nativity, it says in Luke 2 and 8, there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. So there's a red flag in Luke chapter 2, verse 8. There's a red flag because during the Messiah's birth, there were shepherds still abiding in the field that was keeping watch over their flock by night. So we're gonna use Luke chapter 2, verse 8 as a red flag to show you it's impossible for the Messiah to have been born around the time of the 25th of December. So now, did it not tell you that there were what? Shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock during the time of the Messiah's nativity. Now, here we go. This is another book I want to go into because I told you guys I'm going into these books to state my claim. Now, here it is. The two Babylons, the papal worship proved to be the worship of Nimrod and his wife, because all your religions started back in ancient Babylon, ancient Samaria, ancient Mesopotamia, whatever you want to call it. All your religions stems out of Babylon. All your pagan festivals, these pagan festivities, all of this stuff goes back to ancient Babylon. And this book was, I believe, it was written by Reverend Alexander Hislop, and he tells you something concerning Luke chapter 2, verse 8. Now, if you go into this book on page 91, it talks about, chapter 3 talks about festivals, Christmas and Lady Day. Okay, then it talks about the nativity of Saint John and all this stuff right here. But I want to focus on Luke chapter 2, verse 8. Because remember in Luke 2 and 8, it says when the Messiah was birthed, there were shepherds still abiding in the field. Now watch this, guys. The two Babylons, chapter 3, which is page 91. Watch this. Okay, it says, and first, as to the festival in honor of the birth of Christ or Christmas, how comes it that the festival was connected with the 25th of December? So they claim this is the birth of the Messiah, the 25th of December. Now check this out. There is not a word in the scriptures about the precise day of his birth or the time of the year when he was born. So that's not in the Bible, guys. Brothers and sisters, that's not in the Bible, because many of you would say the Messiah was birthed on the 25th of December. That's not in the Bible. It says there is not a word in the scriptures about the precise day of his birth or the time of the year when he was born. What is recorded there implies that at what time soever his birth took place, it could not have been on the 25th of December. Okay, this is page 91, chapter 3, The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop. And it tells you there is no way the Messiah's birth could have taken place on the 25th of December, because that red flag in Luke chapter 2, verse 8 tells you that shepherds were still abiding in the field during the time of his nativity. Okay, so, we're going to look more further into it. Now watch this. At the time that the angel announced his birth to the shepherds of Bethlehem, they were feeding their flocks by night in the open field. So at the time the angel announced the nativity, the birth of the Messiah, shepherds of Bethlehem, which is located in Judea, they were feeding their flocks by night in the open fields. Now, no doubt, the climate of Palestine is not so severe as the climate of this country. But even there, though the heat of the day be considerable, the cold of the night from December to February is very piercing. So they telling you in chapter 3, page 91, from the month of December to February, you see, because that's pretty much dealing with the winter solstice. Tells you in the two Babylons, page 91, chapter 3, from December to February, it says that it's very piercing in Palestine. That means that it is very cold. From December to February, it's very piercing because that's the winter solstice. That's the season of winter. Each season has 3 months. So from December to February in Palestine, which is Israel, it is very cold. It's very piercing. According to chapter 3, page 91. You see. So, continuing on in the two Babylons, page 91, which is chapter 3, it says, it was not the custom for the shepherds of Judea to watch their flocks in the open fields later than about the end of October. Let me read that again. It was not the custom for the shepherds of Judea to watch their flocks in the open fields no later than about the end of October. So basically, at the end of October, the shepherds, they stop keeping watch over the flock by night. The shepherds stop abiding in the fields to keep watch over their flock by night at the end of October. You know, according to the Israelite customs, the shepherds of Judea, they cut all that out, watching their flocks, grazing their flocks. At the end of October, it was over with. But here we go in Luke chapter 2, verse 8. It says, during the nativity of the Messiah, you had shepherds that was in the fields keeping watch over their flock by night. So what that tells you, there is no way in hell the Messiah was born during the winter solstice, or what you would call the winter season. That's a red flag. That's why I wanted to pull out Luke chapter 2, verse 8. That's automatically a red flag to show you guys that it's impossible for the Messiah to have been born during that time. Allegedly, what they say, the 25th of December. You see. Now, guys, continuing on. So, I want to continue on. Now, if you don't believe that the climate during the time of the winter season is very piercing in Palestine, I'm going to show you this. So we're going back into the Bible, and let's look at Matthew 24 and verse 20. And I'm going to show you how cold the climate is in Palestine during the winter solstice, or what some may call the winter season. This is Matthew 24, verse 20. All of these are red flags, guys, to point out that the Messiah was not born on the 25th of December. So Matthew 24 and 20. Watch this. Guys, I appreciate your time. Thank you once again. Matthew 24 and 20. All right, this is exactly what it says. This is the book of Matthew, beginning with the 24th verse. And, this is verse 20. This is what the Messiah was telling the Jews, in prophecy, in terms of prophecy, because he was letting the Jews know that great persecution was coming to Israel by the hands of the Romans. The Romans was coming in to destroy the temple and also destroy lots of Jews. So he tells the Israelites, the Messiah warns the Israelites in Luke chapter 24, verse 20. He says, but pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Because he was telling these Jews that, it's going to be very difficult for you to try to get up and migrate, trying to run from the Romans during the time of the winter solstice, or what you call the winter season. Because we can see right here, let's see, where we want to start at. You see, so if you go back up into, this is Matthew 24 and 16. If you go back up a couple verses and you begin with 16, it says, then let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains. Because he was talking about the Israelites that was living in Judea. He wanted them to flee to the Atlas Mountains on the west coast of Africa. He wanted the Jews to migrate there to get away from the Romans, because that Roman invasion was coming in on Israel. You see? So the Messiah had prophesied about the Roman invasion coming in on the Jews, and he gave them heads up way before it even happened, because I believe the 70 AD destruction, that happened like, I believe 33 years after Messiah died. I think it was like 30 some odd years or something like that. 70 AD took place like 30 something years after the Messiah's death, I believe. And the Messiah, while he was living, he was trying to tell the Jews during that time, dealing with Matthew 24 and 16. He says, then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains. Matthew 24 and 17. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Basically, get the hell up out of here. Matthew 24 and 18. Neither let him which is in the field return back to his clothes. Basically, if you in the field and if you away from Jerusalem, don't worry about coming back. Matthew 24 and 19. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Basically, woe to the woman that's breastfeeding during that time of the Roman invasion. Woe unto them which are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. What days? The days of the Roman invasion, when they was coming in to kill numerous Jews. Woe be to the mothers that's trying to escape with their child on their hip. You see? And then he goes to say in Matthew 24 and 20, he goes to say, basically, but pray ye that your flight, basically your escape, you trying to get up out of there, trying to get away from this Roman invasion. You trying to flee to the land of Ham, which is Africa, to try to blend in with the other dark nations. He said, pray that your flight be not during the winter. So I wanted to bring out Matthew 24 and 20, because the Messiah tells the Jews, that took heed to that prophecy. He said, man, when these Romans come in, he said, pray that your flight be not during the winter. Pray that you don't have to get up and migrate during the winter season, because it was very cold in Palestine. So there's another red flag in Matthew 24 and 20 to show you that it's impossible for the Messiah to have been born or birth during the winter solstice, because, shepherds, first and foremost, we showed you in Luke 2 and 8, shepherds was abiding in the field during that time of the Lord's nativity. And also in Matthew 24 and 19, he tells the Jews, Matthew 24 and 20, he tells the Jews on the verge of them trying to escape the Roman invasion, he tells the Jews, pray that your escaping, your flight be not there in the winter. So we can see that when the winter season came in, dealing with Palestine, it wasn't a joke, man. It was cold over there. All right, so that's 2 book, chapter, and verses as red flags to state and prove to you guys that the Messiah was not born on the 25th of December. But I just can't stop there because I have to keep going. All right. Now, another thing I want to point out. Let's go back into this book here. You can live forever in paradise on earth. And let's check out, like I say, page 213 once again. We covered that thus far. You see, it says, since at Jesus' birth, shepherds were still in the fields with their flocks at night, he could have not been born on December 25th. You know, we went over that. Now watch this. It says, December 25th is not the date of Jesus' birth. You see, it could not have been, since the Bible shows that at that time of his birth, shepherds were still in the fields at night. They would not have been there in the cold, rainy season of winter. That's Luke 2, verses 8 through 12. So during the time of the Messiah's birth, you had shepherds in these fields. If the Messiah was born on the 25th of December, you better believe the shepherds, they would not be out in these fields at night. They would not be out in cold. They would not be out during the winter solstice, during the time of the winter season. Okay, so like I said, guys, Christmas is pagan. And it goes on to further explain that the people of Rome already observed what you call Christmas. They observed it as the feast of Saturn, celebrating the birthday of the sun god, which is Nimrod. Okay, so that's what Christmas is all about. It is about the celebration, the commemoration of Babylonian king Nimrod. One of the descendants of Cush. Okay, so that's what Christmas is all about, man. To make a long story short, it's all about the celebration of Nimrod and also his son Tammuz. These Babylonian deities. All right, now let's go to furthermore literature. Another thing I got a problem with concerning this pagan festival, Christmas. We already know that it's fabricated. We know that it's a hoax, you know what I'm saying, basically. And it's ridiculous how many of us, brothers and sisters, we fall so easily and become victim of this celebration. And when you connect the dots, you can see for yourself something very awkward. It's about celebration. First and foremost, Christmas is like a spiritual form of white supremacy, no doubt. It's a spiritual formation of white supremacy. It glorifies the European. How should I say this? How should I say this? It glorifies Europeans' behalf. You know, we know according to the Bible that the Messiah was a dark-skinned brother, just like you and I, from the tribe of Judah. So what's up with this pale-skinned, Caucasian, blue-eyed, blonde-haired, red skin? What's up with that, man? Let me show you something, guys, because I told you I was going to cover various sources. Now, let's go into Nature Knows No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. And I'm going to go in this book and show you concerning the Messiah that he was not pale skinned or Caucasian. I'm going to deal with page 40. And it talks about notes on the Black Madonna. So let's begin with this section here. It says, and this is page 40, Nature Knows No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. And let's see. The earliest traditions are the saviors of mankind. From Buddha to Jesus, depict them as black or dark skinned. So it's telling you the earliest traditions of the saviors of mankind, regardless if it was Buddha or regardless was it Jesus the Christ. All right, guys, let's go back into it. Page 40, Nature Knows No Color Line. The earliest traditions of the saviors of mankind, whether it was Buddha or whether it was Jesus the Christ, they was all depicted as black men, black folks, or dark skin. You see, it says see sex and race, and then here's some more information, but let's skip that. It says, Eschler R. says that Josephus, which was a Jewish historian, okay, and I have that book right here, the book of Josephus. We'll get into that as well. Back to page 40, Nature Knows No Color Line. Eschler R. says that Josephus, which was a Jewish historian of the first century, Josephus said that the Messiah, who you call Jesus Christ, Josephus said that he was a man of simple appearance, a mature age. He was a dark-skinned man. Josephus said that the Messiah was dark-skinned with little hair, about 4.5 feet, 54 or 58 inches tall. Josephus goes on to say that the Messiah was kind of hunchback with a long face and undeveloped beard. He says this appears in the reconstruction of original halitosis. And then it goes on to say other things, you see. So it says the early Christians. Now, who are the early Christians? Israelites. Because it tells you the disciples was called Christians first at Antioch, which is located in Greece. I believe that's in the book of Acts. It tells you that the disciples was first called Christians in Antioch, Greece. So the early Christians of the Bible were Hebrew Israelites. You see, the true Christians of the book, the true Christians of the Bible was only Hebrew Israelites, brothers and sisters. All right. And it says on page 40, Nature Knows No Color Line, the early Christians, watch this, guys. Wait a minute. The early Christians says they accepted that picture. What picture? The early Christians accepted the Messiah being a dark-skinned brother. That's what the early Christians accepted, but today they don't accept the Messiah for being a dark-skinned, carbon-dated brother. Let me show you what's highly esteemed in today's time. You see these various portraits of a fictitious Messiah: pale skin, blonde hair, blue-eyed, fabrication that's far from the truth. This is the Messiah that is promoted on a worldwide scale today. You see, now I just showed you on page 40, Nature Knows No Color Line. I just showed you in this book on page 40, it says the early Christians accepted a dark-skinned Messiah. So if that's the case on page 40, then we know that the early Christians 2,000 years ago, the people that followed the Messiah, they would have not accepted this fabricated literature here, as you see these images that claims to be the Messiah. You see, it says down here, Jesus brings a young girl back to life. And then here, it says Jesus feeds the crowds. And over here, Jesus rises from the dead. You see all these fictitious images, man. This is what we have been given today. Blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans. We have been sold the lie. So, the early Christians did not uphold a pale-skinned, Caucasian white man as the Messiah. See, this came along, many generations after. And I'm going to show you that. Okay? This fictitious, because we've been given a new Christ besides the one that walked the earth and taught the truth 2,000 years ago. Now, going back into J.A. Rogers' Nature Knows No Color Line, going back on page 40, going back in the book, it says, going down here, then the early Christians accepted the melanated, dark-skinned, carbon-dated image of the Messiah, because that's what he was. That's the Messiah, and it also tells you in the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verses 14 and 15. So let me grab that. I told you guys I got various literature over here. So now this is the Holy Bible. And we are going into Revelation chapter 1. Revelation chapter 1, verses 14 and 15. It gives you the biblical illustration on the Messiah. And first and foremost, before we go there, Revelation verses 14 and 15 out of chapter 1, let's start with Revelation chapter 1, verse 1. It says the revelation. Now, what is the revelation? The revealings. The revealing, to reveal something is to show, to make it in plain sight, to make it obvious before the eyes. So the revealing, the visage, you see, of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants, being the Israelites, things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel into his servant John. So it's going to give you the visage of the Messiah in Revelation chapter 1, verses 14 and 15. Because, like I said, guys, we don't look then. Nature Knows No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. You see, Nature Knows No Color Line. And it said on page 40 that the early Christians, they followed a dark-skinned Messiah. And I'm just using the Bible to back up that, dealing with Revelation chapter 1, verses 14 and 15. Here it is, Revelation chapter 1, verses 14 and 15. His head and his hairs was white like wool. So the Messiah had that kinky hair like the so-called Negroes, because the Messiah was a so-called Negro from the tribe of Judah. Because all you so-called Negroes in America today are the true Jews, whether you believe it or not. So his head and his hairs, meaning that his beard and his afro were white like wool, you see. White as snow, and also his eyes as a flame of fire. Now, during the time of this season, they do not promote a Messiah like Revelation chapter 1 verse 14 states. They don't promote that, guys. They don't promote that. Around these times, during the holidays, they don't promote that. Guys, you've been sold a lie. They don't promote the Messiah as a dark-skinned brother. Christmas is all about white Jesus, man. A fictitious Christ that never walked the earth 2,000 years ago and did the things the Bible says. Now, so, I mean, you be the judge. Do your own research. But I can assure you guys that America is not promoting this image here concerning the holidays. This is the true, authentic image concerning the biblical description of the Messiah. But this is not being promoted in terms of the holidays. So what that tells you, something is wrong with your Christmas. Something is wrong with this festivity, man. Now, if you don't believe me, just see for yourselves what they are promoting. This is what America pushes out to you guys. They sold you the lie, and they traded out the true Messiah and gave you the fictitious one. You see. Now, I just wanted to cover that because Revelation chapter 1 verse 14 said his head and his hairs was white like wool. All right. His head and his hairs white like wool, like the so-called Negroes. As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Genesis 49:12 says the Messiah's eyes shall be reddened with wine. And then it also goes on to say in Revelation chapter 1 verse 15, and his feet like unto fine brass. Brass is a derivative of brown. As if they burn in a furnace, and you take anything and you throw it into a furnace, it comes out pitch black. So the Bible, Revelation chapter 1 verses 14 and 15 is clearly telling you that the Messiah was a very dark-skinned brother, man. Because when people looked at the Messiah 2,000 years ago, he was so black, it was though you was looking at some material that was burned in the furnace. It's like you take something and cast it into the furnace, and the furnace, it burns it so black. That's how the Messiah was 2,000 years ago. It looked like the Messiah was some merchandise that were thrown in the furnace, man. That's how black he was. So the Messiah was very dark-skinned, man. The holidays don't promote a Messiah like that. Christmas don't promote a Messiah like Revelation chapter 1 verses 14, 15 states. Because the white man is not going to tell you the truth, because he's the devil, according to the Bible. He does the complete opposite. Like they tell you that the 25th of December is the Messiah's nativity, but in actuality, the Bible tells you that the Messiah's nativity in terms of his birth. You know, he was born during the spring equinox. You know, but sometime around maybe the Passover. The Messiah was born during the spring equinox. But the so-called white man, being the devil and being Satan, being the opposer, he opposed that and tell you that the Messiah was born during the winter solstice. You see? So if you're going to be against the spring, you're going to have to deal with the winter. Because to be against the spring is to ride with the winter. And that's what the white man did. He told you that the Messiah nativity failed during the winter solstice when the Bible does not say that. There are so many hints in the Bible that show you as well that the Messiah was born during the spring. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm just letting you see that the white man, being the devil and Satan, he does the complete opposite, man. Because he don't want you to know the truth. So all you brothers and sisters out here that's thinking Christmas has something to do with the Son of God, the Messiah, it does not. It's all about the commemoration of King Nimrod, his son Tammuz, and his wife/mother Semiramis. It's a Babylonian custom. Christmas has its origin all the way back in Babylon. You see, this is why in the book of Jeremiah, dealing with the Babylonian captivity, you had Israelites that was captives of the Babylonians. Jeremiah during that time was telling the Israelites not to learn these Babylonian customs. Let me show you. Jeremiah chapter 10. In the Old Testament. Jeremiah chapter 10, guys. It's in the Bible. The setting of the Christmas tree, that's in the Bible. So Israel was captives by the hands of the Babylonians for 70 years, before being delivered. And when they was captives in the Babylonian Empire, they was doing Babylonian things. So watch this. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaking to you, O house of Israel. Who are the Israelites? Blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans. Jeremiah tells the Israelites, he goes on to tell them, thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, because we have done that over the process of time. Learn not the way of the heathen. In other words, don't be a victim of Christmas. Don't be a victim of Christmas. Don't be a prey. If Christmas is the predator, don't be the prey. Learn not the way of the heathen. As a Hebrew Israelite, we are not to follow the customs and traditions of the heathen. That's what Jeremiah was telling his people. So basically, don't learn the way of the heathen, because we know that if Christmas gets its origin to start all the way back in Babylon, we know that the Babylonians, according to the scriptures, they were the ancient Cushites, the descendants of Ham, right? So they would be heathens. You see, and Jeremiah 10:2 says that we Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we are not to learn the ways of the heathen and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, because the heathens are dismayed at them. And then it goes on in Jeremiah 10:3, it really goes on to break down the erection of the Christmas tree, because a lot of brothers and sisters, they go out, purchase them a Christmas tree, bring it back into their homes, and they erect it. They set it up. The Bible says that this is off limits. You see? Watch this. Jeremiah 10:3. For the customs of the people are in vain. Jeremiah 10:3. Why it says the customs of the people are in vain? Because all your hard labor of you crawling on top of the house, taping Christmas lights all around the house, you're setting up Christmas ornaments in your yard. You got your damn yard looking like Las Vegas at night. You light up damn near the whole block at night. Trying to win this Christmas contest on who yard is the best. You got all these tinkling ornaments, all this pagan Christmas stuff in your yard. You don't invested hours and hours in decorating your yard. For what? to be a part of this pagan festival. And the Bible says in Jeremiah 10:3, all this is in vain. You going out spending money, buying gifts for your children and friends and your family. You don't damn near went broke. You know, around these times, in terms of the holidays, buying gifts, you don't damn near went broke. You would have been better off saving your money, because all of this is in vain. It's not going to prosper you in any form or fashion. It's not. It's in vain. It's satanic. You see, it's Luciferianism. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 3. The customs. What custom? Christmas. And not only Christmas, Easter, Halloween, Valentine's Day. These customs are in vain. Now, in terms of Jeremiah 10:3, this custom is dealing with Christmas, because it says, for one cutteth the tree out the forest. You don't do that on Halloween. You don't do that on Valentine's Day. You don't do that around the 4th of July. You don't do that on Groundhog's Day, do you? What about Martin Luther King? What about that day? You don't do that around that time. What about President's Day, Memorial Day, and Labor's Day, Veterans Day? What about Columbus Day? You don't cut down a tree dealing with those holidays, do you? So what holiday can you think of that deals with the cutting down a tree out the forest? That's talking about Christmas, guys. Jeremiah 10:3. So you go into the tree, you go into the woods, you cut at the tree out the forest. The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. And that's the evergreen tree today. Now, you go into the woods. You go into the woods. You don't even have to go into the woods today, because you can go to the store and purchase you one. You can buy the stand and the whole 9 yards. But back in the day, they went into the woods and they hacked down those fir trees. Back in the day, it was fir trees. And today is the evergreen tree. I'm going to show you that too. And so they cut down a tree. And what did they do? Watch this. Jeremiah 10 and verse 4. They decked it. They decorated it. They fashioned it. They garnished it. They adorned it. They decked it with silver and gold. There's a Christmas song, silver and gold, silver and gold. And there's another Christmas song, deck the halls. So they decked it with silver and gold. What other tree do you deck with silver and gold besides the evergreen tree? So if this is not talking about Christmas, if this is not a red flag to show you that Christmas is not to be upheld by the Lord, I don't know what to tell you. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. That's the modern day tree stand. Because in order to get the tree to stand upright, you have to fasten it with nails and hammers that it do not tilt over, man. Jeremiah 10:5. They are upright as the palm. Because remember, I told you Christmas started back in ancient Babylon. And the reason why Jeremiah 10:5 says they are upright as the palm, because it didn't start off with an evergreen tree. It started off with the Babylonians. Back in the time of the Babylonian Empire, the Babylonians, they were decking the palm date trees with these ornaments and stuff. They started, decking down the palm date tree way before the fir tree to the evergreen tree of today. The Babylonians, they decked down the palm date tree, those little coconut trees, those palm date trees. They were the first to be decked down. And then over a process of time, the fir tree and the evergreen tree took the substitution of the palm date tree. That's why it tells you in Jeremiah 10:5, they are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. they must needs be born because they don't have the capability to transport themselves. These trees, they cannot walk because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them because you have this tale that was told that during that time, that if an Israelite man, woman, or child did not pay homage to these palm date trees and did not worship these trees, that the spirit of Nimrod that was residing in the tree would come forth from the tree and kill the individual that did not pay adulation, that did not pay great homage to it. It was even a tale that was said that the tree will fall on the victim and kill the victim if the victim failed to acknowledge and worship the trees. So what did they do back during that time? They felt need to keep the tree appeased. So they placed gifts under the trees, guys. They do the same thing today. So to keep them to keep them safe and sound, and to keep them from not being cursed and killed by these trees. That's what they believe, because this is what Semiramis had out. Semiramis, which was the wife, also the mother of Nimrod. She put those lies out and told the people that if they didn't pay homage to these date trees, that these trees would literally kill them. So what they did to keep the trees appeased, they placed gifts underneath the trees, underneath the branches, to keep the trees appeased. And so this is where you get the decoration and the gifts being placed under the trees today, guys. I'm just taking you back in time to show you. I can't give you the full breakdown of this, but guys, I'm just cutting to the chase for the sake of time. To state my claim that Christmas is off limits, man. And we shouldn't condone this pagan festival, man. All right? I showed you in the two Babylons, back in the two Babylons, because I wanted to go over something else. So back in the two Babylons by Alexander Hislop, we're back in the two Babylons. And I wanted to show you guys this. So we're back into it. Now, remember what I was telling you, that back in the time of the Babylonian Empire, the Christmas tree started off with the palm date. I just want to show you this, guys. Let's look at page 97. This is page 97, dealing with Christmas and Lady Day. So on page 97, there's a section and it talks about the Christmas tree, now so common among us, was equally common in pagan Rome and pagan Egypt. In Egypt, the tree was the palm tree, also Babylon. So in Egypt and Babylon, the tree was the palm tree. In Rome, it was the fir tree. The palm tree denoting the pagan Messiah as Baal Tamar. The fir referring to him as Baal Beret. So you can see right there, man, I'm not making this stuff up. Back in the ancient world, the Egyptians and the Babylonians, they did what? They digged down the date tree, the palm tree first. And then the customs and philosophy was passed to the Romans. And the Romans used the fir tree as the substitution of the palm tree. And then by the time it hit America, America used the evergreen tree in substitution of the fir tree. You see? So I'm not making this stuff up, guys. This is on page 97 in the two Babylons. Okay? It started from the palm tree to the fir tree to the modern day evergreen tree. Okay. So what does the Christmas tree symbolize? Let's go back into the two Babylons. And now we're going into page 98. So back into the two Babylons, the paper worship proved to be the worship of Nimrod and his wife, written by Alexander Hislop. Page 98. You can see right here in this section here. It says, therefore, the 25th of December, the day that was observed at Rome as the day when the victorious God reappeared on earth, was held at the Natalis Invictus, the birthday of the unconquered son. So December 25th is the birth of Nimrod. It's the celebration of the birth of Nimrod, who became the burning sun god, Baal. This is on page 98. So the birthday of the unconquered son, which is Nimrod. Nimrod was born on the 25th of December. But the so-called white man, being the devil and Satan he is, you know what he did? He disguised the birth of Nimrod that took place on the 25th of December. The white man disguised the birth of Nimrod and made you believe that the Messiah's birth took place during this appointed time. See, that's the devil, man. That's something that Satan to do. And the white man is the devil and he's Satan. Because he's been doing this from day one. Selling you lies. But I'm showing up the lies, guys. Let's go back to page 98 and the Two Babylons by Reverend Alexander Hislop. Now the Yule log is the dead stock of Nimrod, defied as the sun god, but cut down by his enemies because Nimrod was killed. Legend says Nimrod was killed by the hands of Shem. It says the Christmas tree is Nimrod redivivus. So what does that mean? That Christmas tree that you set up in your homes, it is in relations to Nimrod redivivus. What redivivus mean? It means resurrected. So the Christmas tree that you are setting up in your house is nothing but a formation of Nimrod and his resurrection, guys. This is idol worship, man. So you want to go and purchase you a Christmas tree? You want to go out and about? You want to go to Target? You want to go to Walmart? You want to go to Home Depot? Winn-Dixie, wherever it may be, and you want to go and purchase you a Christmas tree, and you want to bring that tree back in your home and set that tree up, just know this, that tree is in formation. It represents Nimrod, the resurrection of Nimrod, man. Okay, we showed you this on page 98, dealing with the two Babylons. Once again, the Christmas tree is Nimrod redivivus. That means resurrected. The slain God come to life again. So Christmas is dealing with the resurrection of Nimrod, because if you know the story dealing with history, if you know the Babylonian story dealing with Tammuz, you know, the boy king, you know, Tammuz, legend says that he was killed by a wild hog and his blood splashed on the stump of an evergreen tree. And this evergreen tree, you know, grew up overnight. And so many believe that Tammuz, which was killed by a wild, he was gored by a wild hog and his blood splashed on the stump of an evergreen tree. And when that evergreen tree grew up overnight, many believe that that was the reincarnated Tammuz, was the reincarnated spirit of Nimrod. And so when that blood of Tammuz that was gored by that hog splashed on that stump of the evergreen tree, that was, in other words, Nimrod redivivus. So when you bring in that Christmas tree in your house, that's nothing but a form of idol worship, man, dealing with Nimrod supposedly reviving himself. You see. But man, that's enough of that, guys. I'm about to close this lesson out. So I showed you in the two Babylons. We dealt with there is no way the Messiah could have been born on the 25th of December because shepherds were still abiding in the field during that time. Dealing with you can live forever in paradise on the earth. We dealt with that. We went into nature knows no color line. to prove that the Messiah, the early Christians, they knew that the Messiah was dark-skinned, the original Messiah, not the fictitious one today, but the one 2,000 years ago, who they called Jesus Christ. He was a dark-skinned brother, and the early Christians accepted that. But then many generations came about, dealing with Nature Knows No Color line on page 40. It says some more Christians came. Now, these are the pagan Christians, And when they came, it says, and their Hellenic idea, so they Hellenized everything. Their Hellenistic idea, they changed the true Messiah. You had a whole different set of Christians right here. They came along with their Hellenistic ideas. And what did they do? It says right here, they changed the pen picture of Christ to red in terms of ruddy, and to this red, beautiful, into this red, 6 feet high, well-grown guy. And basically telling you the white man, vulnerable, erect, handsome, blue eyes, beautiful mouth, and copious beard. So many Christians that came down in generations to come, pagan Christians, they Hellenized the original Messiah, and it's telling you they changed him. It say they changed the pen picture of Christ. Then when it goes over here in Nature Knows No Color line, goes to page 41, it says a portrait of Christ entirely apocryphal, meaning hidden, with absolutely no foundation in truth. So they telling you this portrait of Christ that they promote today, it has no foundation in truth. And it was conceived somewhere along the line by a European artist. And that European artist was Michelangelo and Leonardo and also Machiavelli. Because those are the ones that painted various Renaissance pictures of Christ, man. You see, so guys, that was in Nature Knows No Color line. I'm closing down the video for the sake of time. I want to show you one more thing dealing with the apocryphal books that was taken from the Bible during the early 18th century by the Roman Catholic Protestants. They took these books out of the Bible. Now, I'm going into the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14. Okay, now watch this. When you go into the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 in the Apocrypha, it talks about how the Catholic Church placed up a fictitious Messiah and deceived the whole entire world with his image. And that image actually is Cesare Borgia, or some may call him Cesare Borgia. Cesare Borgia, you can just type that in. Cesare Borgia is that white image of Christ today. That white image of Christ is nothing but the 6 popes' son. Okay. And so the Wisdom of Solomon 14 chapter speaks about these things, how the Catholic Church will soon place this image up to deceive the world. Wisdom of Solomon, the 14th chapter. I'm not going to read the whole entire chapter, but I'm just going to show you this part here. Wisdom of Solomon 14:15. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, that father was Rodrigo Bergier, the 6th Pope of Rome. He was afflicted with untimely mourning when he had made an image of his child. That's his child being Cesare Borgia or Caesar Borgia. He made an image of his child. Soon that was taken away because Caesar Borgia eventually died. And then they honored him as a god, you see, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremony and sacrifices. Wisdom of Solomon 14 verse 16. Thus in process of time, an ungodly custom grew strong, What is that ungodly custom today, guys? Christmas. So out of this fictitious image, the sixth pope took his son and placed his son up as the new image of Christ, Caesar Borgia, right here. And as the process of time came, the ungodly custom grew strong. An ungodly custom came out of this, which is Christmas. And it was kept as a law because Christmas is a federal holiday. It says engraven images was worshipped by the commandments of kings. So that's the reason why the Catholic Church had the Apocrypha eradicated from the original text, because in the 14th chapter of the Wisdom of Solomon, it tells you that what that wicked ass Catholic Church would do in times to come. They would set up a fictitious image. A white man by the name of Caesar Borgia, he set himself up as the new image of Christ, while the Catholic Church eradicated the melanated Christ. During that time, you had the Byzantine Empire going on, where you had the Crusaders. They were fighting against the Moors, which were the Muslims at that time, and to give them a clear conscience on killing the Moors, they altered the image of the Messiah, man, so they can kill the Moors with a clear conscience. You see, so this is why the Catholic Church removed the apocryphal books from the Bible, because it tells you what the same wicked ass Catholic Church would do in years to come, putting up this fake image in terms of Christ. So Christmas is all about this fictitious image of Christ, which is nothing but Caesar Borgia. It has nothing to do with the original Messiah, because he was not born during the time of the winter solstice. He was actually born during the spring equinox. That is the true Messiah, Yahweh Shai, the black Messiah. He was born during the time of spring equinox, not winter solstice, guys. So I hope I don't clear a lot of things up for you guys dealing with this lesson. I could have said more. I could have said more dealing with pagan Christmas, but I will cover this and I will close it out. Now, here's another article, because I told you guys I was going to try to at least cover all this literature, if not all of it, some of it. So here's another article, and it deals with pagan Christmas. There is no date more celebrated in the calendar than the 25th of December. Christmas is the only day of the year which seduces a multitude of non-thinking people into a state of wholehearted rivalry and the belief that Christ was born on this day. But if Christ was born on this day, why is there not a single verse or even the mention of it in the Bible? If there is no mention of it in the Bible, where did this custom come from, and how has it become the supposed birthday of Christ? Because that custom that you call Christmas, it came out of Babylon. It came out of Babylon, man. I had a poster with me. I don't know what I did with it. There was a poster I had, and I can show you, man. Christmas came from Babylon. So the Christmas story, is this Christmas story, man. Some may say, is it found in the Bible? Is Christmas found in the Bible? Absolutely not. The Messiah's nativity is found in the Bible, but all these additional things, Rudolph, the reindeers, Santa Claus, his sleigh, Mrs. Claus, his elves, the gingerbread man, the nutcracker, and all this nonsense, this stuff is not in the Bible. So when you ask this question, isn't Christmas found in the Bible? Absolutely not. Some may ask, according to religious teachings, the story basically goes like this. Christ was born in Bethlehem on December 25th. This is what the story says. This is what the people that believe this to be true. This is the story. Christ was born in Bethlehem on December 25th, and the shepherds, along with 3 wise men, came to celebrate Christ's birth. Now, the Bible didn't tell you how many wise men came. The Bible just said wise men. It didn't say 3 wise men. The Bible didn't tell you that it was 3 wise men that came. It just said wise men. So there's a lie right there. But anyways, let America tell it. You know, these wise men presented Christmas gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh as an example that we should give presents and gifts to each other to celebrate his birth, which is the Messiah. The shepherds returned to their flocks, and the wise men, being warned by an angel of Herod's plan to slay the Christ child, returned home. All right. Being warned by the angels of Herod's plan to slay the Christ child, return home. Okay, so next we come to Joseph and Mary, who flee to Egypt from Bethlehem. After being there for some time, they returned to Nazareth. Though this story is general overview of what happened, there are a number of significant differences that, when questioned, gives a different picture of what truly happened. So Christ's birth could have not been in December, and we already covered that, because common sense tells us that the cold weather and the snow would have made it impossible for the shepherds to graze their flock, meaning to feed their flock during that time. So we went over that. All right. Winters in Israel was so severe that the shepherds sent their sheep out to the Arabian desert for the whole winter season and brought them back in during the springtime. You see, so the shepherds, man, it was, like I said, the Israelite custom. It was no later for the shepherds to stay out in the fields than October. And also the shepherds, they sent their sheep out to the Arabian desert for that whole season of winter and brought them back in during the springtime. So the Messiah wasn't born in the wintertime. All right. Let's see what else. Matthew 2:1. Now, in Matthew chapter 2:1, this is what it says, because this is another lie. Man, Christmas is, oh my God, it's ridiculous. Matthew 2:1. I'm trying to get finished fast as possible, guys. Bear along with me, because it's crucial for you to know this information. All right. First and foremost, let's go back. Matthew 2:1. Matthew chapter 2, verse 1 in the Bible. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem. So it never said 3 wise men. So that's a lie. Your pastor, the Christian church, if they're saying that, that's a lie, because the Bible never denoted how many wise men came from the east. It just said wise men, you see. Then let's deal with also in Matthew 2:1. It says, saying, Matthew 2:2, Matthew 2:2, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? This is what the wise man said. Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. Now, the wise man said that they seen the star. The star is a chariot, what you call a UFO. And they seen the star in the east, and they said they have come to worship the Messiah, man. Now, it does not tell you how many wise men came. And, you know, and the star, because a lot of churches say this, the star did not lead the wise man to Bethlehem. Because a lot of churches think that the star led the wise man to Bethlehem. The star did not lead the wise man to Bethlehem. Instead, it led the wise man to Jerusalem. All right. The reason they were led to Jerusalem was so that Herod the Great at that time could not trace the birth of the real king of the Israelites. So frustration drove him to murder innocent Israelite babies. So when they say the star led the wise man to Bethlehem, that's a lie. The star led the wise man to Jerusalem. Even though Bethlehem is located in Jerusalem, you know what I'm saying? The star didn't lead the wise man to Bethlehem, man. All right? I'm just giving you some things, just pointing out some things. Another thing, guys, this is what I don't over enter and understand. This right here. So right here, the gifts, the giving of the gifts. I wanted to cover that because why are we giving gifts to one another? But it says in the Bible that the gifts was given to the Messiah. You see, this is recorded in Matthew chapter 2, verse, Matthew chapter 2, verse, let's see. Matthew chapter 2, and I believe, I'm trying to find it where the wise man gave gifts. Just a second, guys. I believe it's Matthew chapter 2, verse, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but it's somewhere. It says that the Messiah, that these wise men, these men of the East, they gave gifts. Like frankincense. I believe the gifts that the wise man gave, I believe it was like frankincense, myrrh, and something else, guys. I just said it earlier. I have a whole lot of literature going on, so yeah. I believe the three wise men, I'm trying to see what actually did they give, because they gave frankincense, myrrh, and gold, I believe. I believe that's what they gave. Now, they gave this to the Messiah, so what the hell are we giving each other gifts for? All our gifts should be catered to the Messiah because the gifts was given to the Messiah. They wasn't traded among each other. That's stupid as hell, but anyways, guys, that's your pagan Christmas. And let me close this out, man. I got to close it out. You can unscramble Santa, and it spells Satan. Just to put that out there. You can unscramble Santa, and it spells Satan. Santa is Santa, but you can unscramble that, and it literally says Satan. So that's a red flag that let you see Christmas is satanic. And also, you know, Noel. They say Noel. They are letting you see subliminally that this pagan festival, better yet known as Christmas, the Elohim is not included in it. So there's no El in this pagan festival. You see, thus Elohim, because we know Elohim in Hebrew, it means God. So they're telling you subliminally, no El, there's no Elohim in this pagan festival. You see, guys, and another name for Santa Claus is Saint Nick. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to close out. So another name for Santa Claus is Saint Nicholas. That's another name for Santa Claus. Now, Saint Nicholas, he was a Jew of a royal priesthood, and he was born in 280 AD. And St. Nicholas became a bishop of Myra in a small town which is modern day Turkey. During the great persecution, when the Roman Empire was destroying the Bibles and they forced priests to renounce Christianity or face execution, you had St. Nicholas that stepped in and fought on a lot of his people's behalf. Also, today many people think of Santa Claus as a jolly old elf guy who brings gifts to children on Christmas Eve, but they don't have no idea that the white man, he took a real life character known as St. Nicholas. He took a real life character and capitalized off this real life character. The white man did that because the real St. Nicholas was a black man, and the white man capitalized off the real St. Nicholas to give you Santa Claus today. Many people don't know that, because, he wasn't always such a merry figure. Santa Claus wasn't always such a merry figure. The modern day Santa, has its roots going back to the 3rd and 4th century of the Roman Empire, dealing with St. Nicholas. So St. Nicholas of Myra, he was an Israelite Jew, basically in Russia. He didn't celebrate the 25th of December, but he celebrated the Feast of Dedication, which is also known as Hanukkah. And he gave gifts to the orphans and the widows during Hanukkah celebration. So the Roman Catholic Church, they knows this. They know it. They know this about St. Nicholas. And they had their hands into whitewashing St. Nicholas, because the real St. Nicholas was a black man. And St. Nicholas was, like I said, going back to the 3rd and 4th century, he was a bishop, man. And they also call him the wonder worker. Now, why did they call St. Nicholas the wonder worker? Because he had a great reputation for giving gifts secretly, such as he used to put coins in the shoes of little girls and boys. He used to put coins in their shoes of those who left them out for him. And thus he became the present day model for Santa Claus, guys, St. Nicholas. Also, St. Nicholas developed a reputation, as a defender of the church, because, like I said, the Romans was persecuting his people. So that lets you know, and that lets you see that white people ain't never been holy, because the white people in the Bible was Greeks and Romans. They persecuted the true Christians for the faith, you see. But anyways, back to St. Nicholas. St. Nicholas, in one story, it says that St. Nicholas, being a bishop, he saved 3 young girls from a life of prostitution. And that's why you got the Santa Claus today. He say, ho, ho, ho. Now, why do Santa Claus say ho, ho, ho? Because the real story of St. Nicholas, being a bishop, he saved 3 young girls from a life of prostitution when he secretly delivered 3 bags of gold for their dowries to their indebted father. So St. Nicholas, yes, he delivered 3 girls from a life of prostitution. Thus, ho, ho, ho. Okay, another story is that St. Nicholas, he resurrected 3 boys who had been murdered by an innkeeper. By the 13th century, St. Nicholas became known as the magical bringer of gifts. And so they capitalized off that, switched it around, and now you got the modern day Santa Claus. So guys, you just have to seek out these things for yourself, man. And know that it's not a game and it's not a joke. That Christmas truly indeed, it is pagan at its highest. And we should not involve ourselves in these activities, these holidays, man. we shouldn't do that, guys. So yeah. Hope I was a blessing to you guys, a blessing. Hope I said something to grab the minds of the brothers and sisters and just to wake them up to truly see that if you don't believe me that Christmas is a pagan festival holiday, you know, I'll let another brother or sister explain it to you, because it's all over the internet. It's all over the world, you know, and there's no excuse. So if you're celebrating Christmas, stop doing it. Don't do it, because that's not the custom of the Israelites. We are told to keep the Feast of Dedication, you know, because that's what the Messiah kept dealing with John. I believe that's in St. John 10 and 22. The Messiah kept the Feast of Dedication, not Christmas. So don't do it, guys. Learn not the way of the heathen. Be not dismayed at them. You know what I'm saying? Envy not the oppressor. Proverbs 3 and 31 says, envy not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. So, guys, yeah. I think I'm going to call it a quit tonight. Venus, Judah, Israel, appreciate you. Thank you for your time that you sacrificed on tonight to be a part of this wonderful lesson. Hope all is well with you, my sister. I wish many more could have tuned in, but it's okay. All right. But until next time, we say shalom. Peace and much blessings to you all. Double honors to the elders, salutations to the brothers. And last but not least, we give all praises and glorification to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, who the world ignorantly denotes as God and Jesus. Until next time, keep the faith, brothers and sisters. And I'll see you in the next one. Shalom.